Hello, everybody. It's CapCorgi here, and I wanted to talk about something very special to me. I'm a huge fan of Resident Evil, and Summer Games Fest just happened. We had a lot of amazing trailers of all kinds. But I want to talk about something very specific. It was we're going to be going through some of my favorite games that were showcased in the Summer Games Fest entire, all of the showcases combined. I'm just using Summer Games Fest as a moniker for all of them, like an umbrella term, because E3 doesn't exist anymore, which makes me sad, but that's reality. But yeah, so I'll be if you're interested in that kind of news and coverage, I'll be going over, I think, probably at least 6 different games that really caught my eye, either for something new, or it's going to be something that's just exciting personally to me, or something special, just something that I think I'll be able to chime in on, whether it's a genre I love or something. And this is the first in that series, so welcome. If you guys enjoy, I hope you guys do leave a like and a comment. I love to cover games. I'm excited about all kinds of games, and I cover the good and the bad in gaming, no matter what it may lead to. Fully authentic always. But going back to it, this game that we're talking about tonight is a Resident Evil Requiem. Resident Evil 9 was revealed, and it looks great, by the way. This is not going to be like, oh man, I'm angry. No, dude, it looks great. And we're going to go through why. I wanted to discuss some little portions of what I found interesting, and some of the knowledge that I've gleaned about Resident Evil 9 from other content creators, people who were able to play, watch play of Resident Evil 9, and so on and so forth. Because Capcom did actually showcase gameplay of the game that you and everyone else in the general public has not really seen. So that's pretty cool, and I want to talk a little bit about that, as well as my thoughts for the game, what I think is going to happen, my predilections for what I want to see, and things that I know will happen as well. So, welcome. Resident Evil is one of my favorite game series of all time. I've played through every single Resident Evil game, including the spin-off games. And as you can tell from the background music, Resident Evil 2, and then later on 2 Remake, are some of my favorite games of the entire series. And this is the music from Resident Evil 2 right now going on in the background. It's the main hall of RPD, the Raccoon Police Department. One of my favorite tracks, and my probably most heard tracks in all of game, because I played through Resident Evil 2 and 2 Remake like a million times, maybe. I don't know, a lot. Sometimes that's like a comfort game for me. So sometimes I'll just go back and be like, you know what? It's been a couple of months. I'm going to go back and play Resident Evil 2 Remake. And, 2 itself is hard to find now. I don't have a GameCube anymore, so I haven't been able to play 2 OG in a very long time. But I have played it like 17 different times, maybe. And 2 Remake is just a perfection in every way, shape, or form. I think it might be the most perfect game in the series, in my humble opinion. But I will say that Resident Evil 9 seems to be returning to some of the lovely roots that you and I really desire from a Resident Evil game. And I'm talking horror. And I'm talking, iconic characters. I'm talking a true, slower burn style feel. And so I'll play the Resident Evil trailer in the background, and you can hear, I'll also attach to this video, after I'm done talking, the actual reaction. And the Resident Evil 9, the actual trailer when we watched it at Summer Games Fest, and my live reactions. I'm wearing a different shirt and a different tie there and everything. And I'll just, grab it and clip it anyways. Yeah. So Resident Evil 9, this is, by the way, introducing a brand new character, Alyssa Ashcroft. Now, a lot of people, this is how much of an RE nerd I am. A lot of people don't know who this is. A lot of people are like, a few of us watching, and there's some streamers out there that are like big and YouTube content creators that out there, React people and stuff, they're like, oh, Ashcroft, yo! And I was one of those. And, but like, you know, she's not a very well-known character. And the reason is, well, first of all, Alyssa Ashcroft is her first foray into the series at all. No one knows who she is yet. We don't know what her personality is really like or anything. We got some hints here, and she seems adorable and, you know, a little like fresh off the boat kind of thing in terms of in the world of like Resident Evil stuff. She has some shadow and baggage in her past and stuff, but it's very clear that she's not really done a lot of field duty. You know, this guy, when he talks to her, he seems to be the supervisor, and he's like, yeah, you can handle this, don't worry, you got this, blah, blah, you've been trained. So it seems like that maybe this is her first mission, maybe this is her first field mission, don't really know that. However, who is Alyssa Ashcroft? Alyssa Ashcroft is the daughter of another Ashcroft. Also, misnomer, it's not Alyssa Ashcroft. I actually forgot the Grace Ashcroft is Resident Evil 9. Alyssa Ashcroft, I keep saying that because that's the character that I know. And so, keep calling her Alyssa. So sorry. Every time I said Alyssa in the past, I meant this is Grace Ashcroft, okay? Alyssa Ashcroft is the mother of this character. And this is a character, Alyssa Ashcroft, that we played in a spin-off game called Resident Evil Outbreak. It was a really, really crazy game, completely different than pretty much every other Resident Evil. And it was kind of like, it was a single-player game. It's called Biohazard Outbreak in Japan. Because the entire series is pretty much called Biohazard in Japan. And it was on PS2 all the way back in like 2003, so quite a while ago. And it was the first actual Resident Evil to have online multiplayer support. So you actually could play, and did play at the time, with people, if you were able to. I actually played it, you know, not with people. I didn't really have, you know, the internet back then to be able to attach to a PS2. So that was not something I did, but I did just, you know, solo play the entire time, which made it extremely difficult. And it had like a, you know, a separate thingy, like a basically what amounts to a DLC. It was a successor title called Outbreak File 2. But yeah, so basically what the game was a very weird system where you would have a group of characters and you would have like vignette stories. So it wasn't one story like, you know, every single Resident Evil that you've played. So Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're playing as, you know, one or two sometimes characters and going through an entire like full story. This was quite different. It was like, what was it, like 6 or 7 different stories, and they all kind of like melded into this more larger storyline. And every single story that you played, you would have a cast of characters, and they would go through a much smaller stage, what would amount to just the RPD portion of RE2, what would amount to just the the castle portion of Resident Evil Village. And it's kind of like that size, so, you know, just an hour or so. And it was extremely difficult. It was like kind of like a puzzle game, because you had to like figure out what was going on for each vignette. Every vignette, I'm just gonna call them vignettes. Every vignette, or I guess you could call them stage. Every stage had a different, like, you know, set of characters. The characters had different abilities. It was all in a different area, each one. So it was kind of like, you know, shorter stages, and you had to like really learn and memorize each stage. And all of them had like massive amounts of items to use, just like Resident Evil is very famous for. And yeah, it was a pretty crazy thing. It was a pretty crazy thing. So the story was quite interesting. Basically, it was all of the characters that aren't named Leon and Claire and Chris and Jill. It's like none of the mainline cast at all. And you did meet oh god, what was his name, the Russian guy who screws you over in Resident Evil 3, Nikolai. Nikolai was kind of like the overarching, like, kind of like villain. He was kind of like the cause of some of the stuff that happens in Outbreak. And Alyssa Ashcroft was just one of the characters in that entire game. And she was only in, was it one stage or was it like two stages? I don't really remember. I think it was only like maybe one. No, I think it was like two different stages. You could play as Alyssa Ashcroft. And Alyssa Ashcroft was a reporter. And she was a very good reporter. And she was reporting on the entire situation in Raccoon City. And there was many other characters that, you met. There was a professor. There was this. There was that. There's all kinds of different characters. But it was a really really cool game. And that was pretty much all you've seen of Alyssa Ashcroft. But there was a little hint that they were thinking of going in a direction like this. So you might be wondering why Grace Ashcroft. First of all, they wanted to do another character. They wanted to do a new character, and I think they're saving the Ethan storyline, as in Ethan and his daughter Rose and all that. They're saving that for like a different game, I'm pretty sure. So I guess for that reason they didn't want to use Rose in this game. Even though Grace Ashcroft here looks quite similar to Rose. So a lot of people were like wondering, is she an analog to Rose? Is she Rose? Like, what's going on here? What's going on? And but yeah, she had a pretty interesting storyline, Alyssa Ashcroft, the mother, where she was an inquisitive kind of like reporter. She goes through Outbreak, and she survives. She canonically survives the fall of Raccoon City. And she gets all the way through, and apparently in Resident Evil 7, not apparently, in Resident Evil 7, there was one little note in Resident Evil 7 where you're reading, I think it was the documents near the end of the game, and, no, sorry, it was the very beginning of the game. Yeah, it was the very beginning of the game, and she was one of the people reporting on the disappearances in Louisiana, where you end up going to in the mansion and stuff like that. And in Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, my second favorite Resident Evil game. I love that game dearly. And so yeah, that was the entire situation for Alyssa, and she was just, it was just like a little breadcrumb. This character still exists. We still have our eye on her, and that was pretty much it. That was like all we have for Alyssa. And, yeah, she was like a utility character from the first game, from the Resident Evil Outbreak, and then, like, one random note, and that's pretty much it. And now we have, the very adorable-looking Grace. And, so what will Resident Evil Resident Evil 9 be? This will be a Grace Ashcroft story. But it is very, very strongly told. Not fully, like, no Capcom representative has publicly come out that I know of and said that you're playing as another character, but it is very, I guess, strongly hinted that this is going to be a dual protagonist storyline. I'm talking like Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 3 in some ways, Resident Evil 2 for sure, and Resident Evil 1. And, in some ways Resident Evil 6, because you had, 4 different paths, and each one had 2 characters. Well, except for Ada's. And so, this is one of those. So you have Grace Ashcroft, and, if you don't want a spoiler, pause the video now, and, move on to just a few seconds afterwards. So, I would say, 30 seconds. And that's all the spoiler alert you get, guys. Leon S. Kennedy is making his return. It is extremely strongly hinted by, Resident Evil devs and everything like that. It's not for sure. There's no article I can point you to being like, it is 100%. But this is something that's strongly hinted. And, oh yeah, you get to see a little bit of Alyssa right here. Where is she? Oh, no, this is the past. Okay, so yeah, no, here we go. So this is her thinking about her past. Grace Ashcroft. And, so yeah, Leon will be probably the second protagonist. Now, we don't know if the first stage is going to be Grace Ashcroft, and then Leon, saves her or something, and then takes over the role, or if it's going to be fully dual protagonist, as in you have one storyline for each, a la RE2 remake, where you're playing through the entire game as Grace, and you're playing through the entire game as Leon, into there she is. There's that red jacket. Yeah, okay. So, Alyssa Ashcroft had this lovely red jacket, and she was awesome. She was a Spitfire, man. I'm really glad that they're bringing her back. Like, I really hope to see more of Alyssa Ashcroft in this. Like, we can see kind of maybe what she went up to, what she got up to after the events of Outbreak, because she had some stuff, man. She had some spunk, and so yeah. The details have emerged a little bit from the gameplay that was shared at Summer Games Fest live to just a small group of people, small group of game devs, and small group of gaming commentators, and small group of gaming journalists, and everything. And as you can tell, like, this is a pretty horrific scene. So she's obviously been captured here. She's being like, she was been flipped, turned upside down like Will Smith. And she's being exsanguinated for her blood. So something is special with her blood. They talk about her being some kind of chosen one, and the magic is in her blood or something like that. It could be related to the events of Outbreak. Don't really know. You know, all of the characters in Outbreak had to deal with a situation with infection and so on and so forth as well. It was like a mechanic in the game. Your character had various levels of infection. So maybe it has something to do with that. That's just pure speculation. That'd be really cool, though. And there is, you know, obviously a much more of a horror-style feel to a character being hung upside down and being like, you know, their blood being drawn from them to the point that they die. And then you have like the slow-moving camera pan through the hallways and everything. There's a lot of signs, and the gameplay that was showed that this is much more going to be a return. Maybe that's Leon. I think those footsteps might be Leon. You know, looking back at the trailer, I've looked at the trailer a few times, but, you know, I didn't, my brain just put two and two together. Maybe those footsteps are Leon's footsteps. But yeah, anyways, this is a very lovely panning shot of Resident Evil 2. And I think that's one reason that they're using Ashcroft, because she was the only other survivor, and Leon was too. So, you know, Leon and Alyssa being, sorry, Grace being the characters used in this game, definitely makes some sort of poetic justice and sense, them going back to the site where they survived from. Now, obviously, what does that mean for Claire and Jill, who were also survivors? I mean, I'm sure they're going to show up at some point in another game. I would have really loved to see Claire. Claire's been severely underutilized, in my opinion. Claire is a bae, and definitely hope to see her again soon. But yeah, that's just a complete aside. Maybe she'll show up. Maybe, I mean, if Leon's showing up, chances are very high Ada Wong will as well, but we'll see. But yeah, so this entire horror-like feel is continued on through the rest of the trailer. You have like these really dark shots, really slow-moving shots. We see barely any real action. We see a lot of like actual horror with other characters. This is a character, he's bleeding, he's dying. We see this. This is interesting. Now, a lot of people suspect, and I'm one of them, that this is the, here we go. I was trying to find a good freeze frame. This is the character from Resident Evil 1 that was hiding away, and you free her, she's in the cemetery and everything like that. A lot of people think this is that character. It's possible. They kind of look, they have some similar-esque features, but this character is very long and very big, and the original character was not. It could be her transformed. She was another survivor. She was experimented on at the Spencer Mansion, and, you know, that was an entire storyline in Resident Evil OG 1 and Remastered. By the way, if you've not played Resident Evil 1 Remastered, it's one of the best games of all time. Definitely play it. It's a perfect remaster. But yeah. Now, this is a character that is going to be following you around. This is the Nemesis. This is the Mr. X in this game. It is this creepy, you know, long boy, long lady, and she follows you around and tries to kill things and so on and so forth. Now, my question is this that Russian actor, this guy, that plays a Russian actor in, like, everything? I can't remember his name, but he kind of looks like it, but I'm not sure. It could just be a random guy, but yeah, I was just curious. Yeah, no, the feel of this character, this is, I think, going to be the look of the close-up of that long character. that the long monster that is like following you around. Yeah. But going back to the original description, so this entire scene is the beginning of the game. That is 100% for sure. Now, where in the beginning, we don't know. But the footage that was shared for all people at the Summer Games Fest event, it was, basically this entire scene. And this is like, other people have shared this. It's not like I'm not allowed to share this. She breaks herself, and it's a very creepy horror scene. She breaks herself out of the chains and everything that's like keeping her here. And she basically makes her way through this little mansion area that they show the hallway of right here. She's in this mansion. And one of the ways that this game is going to really go slow, and I know it is because light is going to play a very, very strong role. A much stronger role than pretty much any other Resident Evil game, perhaps, ever, maybe. But, like, one mechanic that they're adding is the lights can be turned on and off. And most rooms in that little segment, it was like a 10-minute segment shown at Summer Games Fest, had all the lights turned off in various rooms, and you had to actually flip the switch and turn them on. And in lieu of that, you had some other light source, flashlight and lighters and this and that. And, the light would go on, and you'd quickly scan around the room and, see whatever's in the room. A weird chair. You don't know if someone that's in that chair. Very cool horror vibes that actually increase the tension without adding, like, just straight up jump scares or anything like that. A very interesting way to do it. And there was, Grace Ashcroft was indeed using a lighter in segments of the game. This reminds me, actually, I'm going to try to see if I can pull it up. There was a lighter scene. So Netflix had a Resident Evil movie. Netflix, let me just put it up. Resident Evil. And the movie's not worth watching, by the way. It's not worth watching at all. It was a movie for Resident Evil. They changed Leon, like, abysmally, all kinds of different stuff. It was a terrible movie. But even though the movie was bad, it had a couple of very, very shining scenes. I'm trying to see if I can find the scene. And YouTube was not really pulling it up. It was with Chris Redfield. They basically combined the stories of Resident Evil 1 and 2, and a little bit of 3 as well, all into one movie. And mostly 1 and 2. And it was just way too much. It was way too much, and it was, like, extremely crammed. They changed a whole bunch of storylines around as well. And it was kind of dog water. So it was a terrible movie. But here it is. Welcome to Raccoon City. That was the name. So this was a movie called Welcome to Raccoon City. And this movie sucked. However, there was one scene that was freaking gorgeous and absolutely inspired. And this is when Chris Redfield first goes in to the Spencer Mansion. And so he's in the Spencer Mansion, very iconic setting and everything. I'm gonna put down the music, and he's alone, and the lights go out. He runs out of light, and all he can use is the muzzle flash from his gun, and the muzzle flash from his gun, and later on a lighter, is basically showing the audience, as in the audience of us watching the movie, but also Chris himself, the actual zombies. It was a really good scene in an otherwise absolutely dog shit movie. And I'll link this in the comments below, but yeah, here it is as well. This is the scene. So, like, look at how cool this scene is. You're seeing the zombies. It's only via the muzzle flash. It's completely chaotic. He's worried. You're worried. Tension. It is a really good scene. This is a really, really good scene. And I won't ruin it by, like, just talking over it, but I'm just showing you, like, various parts of it. This is the lighter. And this lighter, this type of feel with the lighter, is exactly what we are getting for sure in Resident Evil 9. Grace Ashcroft literally has a lighter, and it's like flickering and everything. It provides only a very small amount of light. It's kind of going out sometimes. It's super cool. It's super cool. So this is kind of what I want to highlight, and I will put this video, this actual clip, in the description below so you guys can see the entire scene for yourself. It is literally the best scene in the entire movie. The entire movie sucked, but that scene had some sauce. And I'm glad that they're going with this vibe for Resident Evil 9. This is huge. One of the big detractions for me for Resident Evil Village was the fact that it was much more actiony than it was horror. Resident Evil 7 was a return to the horror, especially after the super big action days of Resident Evil, 6 and 5. It started with 4, but really ramped up in 5, and then ramped up even more in 6. And 6 felt like much more of an action game than an actual horror game, except for small little segments that were the best segments in the entire game. Resident Evil 7 hit the reset button, and it was like, we're going back to horror. We want to make the game scary. And it became an iconic revamp to the entire series for that reason. It went to 7, then RE2 Remake, really changed the game with third-person view. And, the Resident Evil 3 Remake was a step in the wrong direction. 4 Remake was perfect, and step in the right direction again. And then Resident Evil 8 was very actiony. People may point to the baby, which was fine. That part at the mansion for what was it called? The doll mansion. I can't remember the name. That part might have been like the more interesting, scarier part and segment, but that was like, all of 20 minutes. Like, it was very short. So there was really not that much horror in Resident Evil Village, which was a very, very sad part for me and for many RE fans. A lot of people found it scary because it was like their first Resident Evil, which is totally fine, but definitely not something scary to me. And I'm really glad they're going back to the haunting vibes. This is something that I've wanted. This is something that a lot of the actual Resident Evil mainstays and big community wanted. So I'm extremely excited. And I did mention third person. What view will Resident Evil 9 be using? This game will be doing something, not only with the lighting focus and everything like that, but this game will also be doing something else that no other Resident Evil game, in my knowledge, has ever done. A dual camera system. They went through the entire gameplay in a certain view, third-person view, and then they paused and they said, hey, you know what? We should check it out in the other view. No, we need to do this thing another way, or something like that, is what the person running the gameplay said. And they went to the main menu. They showed the main menu. They paused, they got out, and they showed a little thing so you could change the view from first person to third person. And it actually said, blah, 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 recommended first person. I think for that segment, I wasn't sure if it was for that segment, or if it was for, just period, for the entire game. Who knows? But I feel like the action sequences would probably be better in third person, and the immersiveness would probably be better for first person. So maybe for like boss fights. But you could basically, they made it very clear, you can switch the view between first person and third person at your will. So a lot of people didn't like the third person view of Resident Evil 2 Remake, 3 Remake, and 4 Remake. And they kind of yearn for back to, a first person view for immersion, because Resident Evil 7 Biohazard really kind of like made that such a huge thing, and it was really cool. And then, a lot of people were upset at, Resident Evil 7 being first person, and they really yearn for the third person days, and blah, blah, blah. And this gives you a toggle, and you can switch the toggle anytime by going to that main menu, and which is really cool. And I know one thing, I will be playing through RE9 first, all in first person, and then all in third person, and then I'll do naturally swapping between the two, depending on the scenes and what I like for each one when I'm doing a challenge run. Because I have done challenge runs, I've done no-hit runs in Resident Evil. RE2 Remake was my first no-hit ever in any game, and I'll definitely be doing one here as well. Because, Resident Evil, there's something about Resident Evil that make like a challenge run like really, really, really freaking cool. And really, really interesting. So, yeah, I'm excited. This is pretty much it. I hope I was able to give you some really cool details. And right after I give you my little exit, you'll be able to watch the, actually, you can watch the actual trailer for Resident Evil 9 right now. And our reaction from Summer Games Fest, our oohs, our ahs, and me, you know, gasping and telling you what I'm excited about as well. I think this is going to be, you know, this was like, it was hard for me to pick a game of the show, but up till this point, this was my game of the show. And then the Xbox Showcase happened, and it was like, okay, some other games are, like, you know, really cool as well. I'm a big fan of a lot of the games at Summer Games Fest, but yeah, this is way up there. This is definitely in the top 3 best games that were showed at the entire Summer Games Fest. Period. And it's not even close. The top 3 for me were Clockwork Revolution, Resident Evil, and James Bond. And followed closely by Expanse for number 4. Really, really cool games. And, but yeah, Resident Evil Requiem, I think is number 2 for me on that list. Or 1, maybe. It's just, it's so good, man. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion, and I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think of the details revealed? What do you guys think of Resident Evil 9 Requiem? What are you hoping for? You know, a lot of these things that I said were not confirmed. You know, I don't know if it'll be Leon. I don't know if it'll delve into Leon's past. I hope so. I don't know if we'll be playing, I don't know if we'll be seeing Grace Ashcroft. For a lot of people, the vast 99% of the audience of Resident Evil who doesn't know who that is. I don't know if Grace will be just one, you know, section or the entire game, dual protagonist. What would you like to see? Would you like to see Claire show up? Would you like to see Ada show up? Ada Wong. Would you like to see, you know, maybe a Return of the Nemesis? If Leon is showing up, why not Nemesis too? You know, who knows? I would love to hear all of your thoughts in the comments below. And also, what do you guys think will happen with Leon? Because, you know, this is a new character. Grace Ashcroft is all of what, maybe 20-ish? She's definitely in her college years, early college years, and she's working at, you know, the FBI, which is cool, but like that gives her an age of what, 20? So this means we are seeing a Leon S. Kennedy who is 20 years after RPD, at least, maybe more. So we are going to be seeing a much older Leon S. Kennedy. How will that work? Will they kill off Leon? Like, that's a possibility as well. A lot of times when characters get old, that could be a choice that games and creators may make. So, I would hate that. Leon is literally my favorite character in the entire series. So, I definitely don't want to see our blonde bae die. Our himbo. But I will definitely play it regardless. I'm going to enjoy it regardless, man. I really hope we see him. I really hope he's a big part of the game. I really hope he's dual protagonist, because the way they did dual protagonists in other games is something that I did miss in RE7 and RE8, as much as I love those games. And but yeah, we'll see what it is. I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you prefer in a Resident Evil game? Will you go through the game first person or third person? Do you think that the game will be too scary? A lot of people did worry that 7 was too scary. Capcom themselves said they made Resident Evil 8 much more action-packed and less scary as a direct result of feedback from Resident Evil 7. And then they realized that they needed to go back to the horror roots afterwards. So, you know, I mean, Capcom is all about swinging the pendulum. A lot of times they'll go one way, and then they'll go all the way to the other, and then they go all the way to the other. This is something they've done many, many times in the past. You know, going from Resident Evil 2 and 3 to 4, which is action-y, and then all the way to 5 and 6 on the other side of the pendulum. All action, no horror, and then back all the way and 7 to full horror. You know, it's a very, very interesting thing. But I give them full credit, and the game looks gorgeous. The Resident Evil engine has definitely had revamps. Like, the RE engine was already good for all the remake games, and it was really good for, you know, Resident Evil 7 and 8. Especially 8, because 7 was, you know, much earlier than all the others. So, but even since then, we have seen market increases. Also, hair is done so unique in the RE engine. You know, when you'll see the Summer Games Fest clip of me watching the RE9 trailer, you'll see me be like all the way at the very beginning. I was like, Resident Evil? Like, we're all the way over here. Like, I mean, all the way over here. Why? Because of the hair. I can see RE engine hair
like nothing. RE Engine does hair like no other engine for any other game on the planet. Really, truly. They do it really, really uniquely. And it's really, really, vibrant and beautiful and amazing. But like the skin tones have gotten a lot better in Resident Evil Engine, RE Engine, the details, the actual finer details have gotten a lot better as well. I'm so impressed what they've done with the RE Engine. Like it is Capcom's main engine, and they are killing it with it, man. They're absolutely killing it. Now, the other thing is that Resident Evil Engine, RE Engine, was used for Monster Hunter Wilds and had terrible performance. The other Resident Evil games have had generally quite good performance. RE2 Remake, 3 Remake, 4 Remake especially. But, 8 less so, 7 a little bit less so. I think it was because of just the amount of things on the screen. Especially in 8. You had, hundreds of werewolves that were showing up across the screen at some points and so on and so forth in the larger cinematic sequences and so on. But I think this game is going for a much slower pace, so I don't think we're going to run into that issue at all. I hope. The gameplay that was shown was incredibly smooth. The small snippets of cinematic sequences and stuff in the trailer are also extremely smooth. There's no slowdown, obviously, or anything like that. This is definitely a vertical slice. I have a pretty good faith that the condition of the game will come out relatively smoothly as well. Now, the one worry I have, before we leave, it is a worry, and this is worth talking about. When the game comes out. February 27, 2026. Why am I worried? Because this is a pattern with Capcom. Capcom fiscal year end is in March 31st of every year. This has always been a thing. So why am I worried? Because Capcom has a tendency to rush out game releases before the fiscal year end ends, because they want to get all of that profit and stuff and the revenue on the books before that fiscal year ends, so their line, Capcom is a publicly traded company, goes way up. This is what they do. And they've done this with Dragon's Dogma 2, and they did this also this year with Monster Hunter Wilds. And Monster Hunter Wilds has been very correctly panned for being an incomplete game and absolutely unoptimized. Same with Dragon's Dogma 2. Now, they have done a pretty good track record of the Resident Evil games, so I don't think we have to worry too much about this. But I would be remiss if I didn't say this as a consideration. Now, if this had said April 27, 2026, I would feel no qualms whatsoever. That is after fiscal year end. That means they're not rushing it at all. But the fact that it's before fiscal year end, this is something that is always in the back of my mind. Is Capcom, perhaps going to rush something here? Are they going to leave some parts unfinished? Are they not going to do the performance passes and optimization passes that they should on the PC, especially? Usually they do a pretty decent job with consoles, and then they kind of lack on PC. Exactly what happened with Monster Hunter Wilds. And Dragon's Dogma 2. Dragon's Dogma 2, we still don't have, performance patches that we need for PC. Monster Hunter Wilds is rated mostly negative right now for that very reason. Graphical glitches, shutdowns, this, that, whatever, all kinds of stuff. Shader compilations. It's a crazy situation. And I'll cover that in another video, by the way. If you want to hear more about that, definitely make sure you give this video a sub and a like, and keep your eyes peeled. Ring the bell for notifications, because I will be making a very, very, very angry video very, very soon about the state of Monster Hunter Wilds. A game that I love, but is broken. Regardless, this is a worry. This is probably my only real worry for this game, period. I think everything else I feel pretty confident about. I feel confident about the story. I feel confident about the pacing. I feel confident about the push to go back to actual horror. I feel confident about all of that stuff. I love all that stuff. I'm excited for, all the characters and everything revealed. But this is my only worry. And it's not really a huge worry. But again, it is a worry. I don't think they'll screw up the launch. They haven't really done that for Resident Evil too much, though 3 Remake was one of those. That was an unfinished game, a mess and super short and everything. But they learned their lesson, hopefully, for Resident Evil, because that was a huge pushback. Capcom got massive pushback for RE3 Remake. and they deserved it. And then RE4 Remake ended up being really, really good, I think, as a result of the pushback. So, just some thoughts. I wanted to put that out there, and I would love to hear your thoughts. In the comments below, like I said, tell me it all. I want to hear your thoughts for what you think will happen, what you're excited for, what you're worried about, and everything in between. Catch you guys in the next video, and I hope you really liked this breakdown. It was a very incredibly detailed one, and I tried to give it as much detail as I possibly could. All of my history as an RE player, and I thought it was a pretty unique one. So if you guys did like it, definitely give it a comment, definitely give this video a like, definitely share it with your friends, and, you know, hop on in to CapCorgi on Twitch if you want to talk about these things live. I'm on every single night as well. Love you lots, and be safe, and play some gaming, man. Play some Resident Evil. Are you going to be playing Resident Evil to catch up, and, like, you know, as a result, I know one thing, I will be. I've already downloaded Resident Evil 7 Remake, 7 and 2 Remake, just to go down the memory lane and, you know, really, really experience my 2 favorite Resident Evils in preparation for 9. I think, by the way, the gameplay that I described that is not available yet for public consumption will be going public probably in the next couple of weeks. So I actually think is going to happen quite soon, which is very good. But I wanted to make sure you guys knew that. So if you're like, man, this sounds great, Cap, when can we see it? I don't know when. Capcom didn't say when they're going to be, you know, releasing that gameplay at all. But you know, I'm assuming it's ready, so I'm hoping that it might be, what is it? I think Gamescom is coming up, right? Gamescom 2025 date. I think it's likely we see the gameplay that I just talked about at Gamescom. I think it's incredibly likely. This is like the next big, like, game showcase thing. And this is what I think will happen. So I would expect Gamescom, you'll see the gameplay that I'm talking about. You'll see the lighter scene and everything like that. It's going to be really cool. So catch you guys in the next video. Loads of love. Have a great one.